Hey folks, this is Arcaden. Today I want to talk about a game that does something pretty rare and really wonderful. It uses the interactivity of this medium to create empathy and put you directly into a character's state of mind. This video is an overview and discussion of End Roger, the powerful narrative game that was just nominated for Game of the Year at the Indie Game Awards. This game is only about an hour long and is best experienced blind, so I'm gonna do this in two sections. Section 1 is for those of you who are curious but might want to play it for yourselves. It'll give you a brief overview that will hopefully help you decide that, and will only use footage and content from the first 5 or so minutes. Section 2 will be a deeper discussion of the game's tactics and why it's so effective. That part will include lots of spoilers and is meant for people who've already played it or who just want to know what the deal is with the game. Let's get started. End Roger is a narrative video game whose main approach is to use interactivity to put you in the mind of its main character. If you're familiar with What Remains of Edith Finch, End Roger's approach is similar to that game, especially to the fish factory sequence, where your hands are performing two separate actions that mirror the character's divided state of mind. The story unfolds through comic book style windows. The core mechanic is interacting with buttons on the screen. The tone of the game is set quickly and cleverly when you're asked to fill out a name field. No matter what you try, it doesn't work. Try to type a letter, you can't. Try to skip it, you get an error message. You know what needs to happen, but the game doesn't let you do it. It's an early hint at how the game will communicate its themes. While initially this might look like a meta-commentary like the Stanley Parable, it's actually setting up a mechanic that delivers a grounded, powerful, and realistic story. What is that story? Here's the setup before we move into the spoiler section. End Roger begins with a young girl waking up in the morning. She's fuzzy-headed, she's out of it. She realizes she forgot to do her homework. She goes into the bathroom and struggles to brush her teeth. She heads to the living room to talk to her dad, but then all of a sudden realizes that who she's talking to is not her dad, it's actually a stranger. Scared, when the guy turns away, she goes to call the police, but the man stops her. Where the story ends up going resonated deeply with me and clearly with many others. It's powerful, interactive storytelling. So if any of this sounds interesting, pause this video and come back in an hour after you've played it. I was happy to give the dev $5 for the experience, and I hope that the support they're getting right now leads to more from them. And now, the spoiler section begins. End Roger is told from the point of view of a woman living with dementia, a disease that slowly erodes memory, time, the ability to complete even familiar tasks. It's really devastating to witness, and I say that from personal experience caring for somebody with this illness. No one truly knows what it feels like to be inside that experience, and that's honestly one of the most frightening things about it. But the game's creator uses 3 clever techniques to approximate it: shifting reality, broken logic, and a sort of interactive friction. Let's take them one by one. The narrative treats time and relationships and even identity as fluid. Throughout the game, Sophia changes ages. The man she lives with sometimes is her father, then it's her husband or a stranger. It's not a twist, it's a simulation of disorientation. The shift between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is especially interesting. Suddenly, the game seems to become a more straightforward romantic story. In retrospect, you understand that this is actually a flashback and that the first act happened after this, even though she was portrayed as a child. But before you get that knowledge, the relationship between the acts is confusing and you feel a bit unmoored. It mirrors one aspect of the main character's internal world. This is an approach we've seen in other narrative media, but I think it's particularly well executed here. The second tactic is the game is constantly breaking basic assumptions about how things normally function. Typing a letter doesn't fill in a text field. Buttons randomly change or move. Expected inputs produce the wrong action. Sometimes the rules even shift right when you're looking at it. These moments aren't gimmicks, they're a mechanical metaphor for cognitive decline. I think the early toothbrush sequence is a really good example. You're given 4 buttons, but you don't know what they do. Click one and you try to turn on the faucet, but that's not right yet. So you click another and you get the toothbrush, but then the next button you push starts to use it without toothpaste. You know how this simple task should work, but for some reason, you can't make it happen. This reminded me of my own experience caring for somebody who was convinced they weren't living in their own home. They believed they were staying in a hotel and wanted to go home. For months, every night, they'd pack random items into a box, preparing to leave. but they never could. They just couldn't pull it off. There was a barrier between what they wanted and the ability to make it happen. And Roger captures that sensation in vivid and powerful ways. The other tactic is how the game uses your movement of the mouse as emotional cues. It's subtle, but it's really cool and effective. One of my favorite examples of this is the early conversation between Sophia and Roger. His words appear as a smooth green line drawn in one fluid motion towards her. When Sophia wants to reply, you have to draw her line, but there are hidden paths, so the line stutters and forks in different ways. You get this experience of slight interactive friction. It's a nice cue into her personality, as this type of interaction is maybe just a little bit harder for her than it is for someone like Roger. And it's not all tension. Later during the date sequence, the mechanics soften and become something about togetherness. You have to work to put a flower in a vase together, paint a picture together. All of a sudden, your movements with the mouse are creating connection, a reminder that there are still moments of clarity and joy that happen in this type of experience. One of my favorite sequences is after Sophia and Roger's date when they're older, and Sophia is sitting at the kitchen table. You advance the frames by scrolling the mouse to the right. For a while, things feel normal, but then you notice the image has stopped progressing. Sophia has stopped moving. The moment has turned somehow. To continue, you actually have to scroll backwards. And when you do that, Sophia realizes she's alone and panics, calling out and running to Roger. I don't know if this makes sense, but I've seen this moment happen with people. I've seen one experience fade into kind of blankness and then fade into something else completely. In the narrative, this is the moment that leads to her moving into a nursing home. She tells Roger she wants to go home. Roger lies to her, not out of malice, but because sometimes that's the only way to keep someone calm and safe. The game also does a great job of capturing the emotional labor of caregiving. All of these techniques combine to create a type of feeling that is unique to this medium. It's not just a story about dementia, it's a simulation of its effects, and it uses interactivity to create empathy to connect you to that simulation. It makes me excited for what this medium can do, and it feels like there's a whole world of powerful storytelling that's only beginning to open up to us. And we are lucky to get to experience it. I'd love to hear what you thought about and Roger, and if you know of other games that take a similar approach, please drop it in the comments. I would love to check them out. Coming up on the channel, I've got the final video in my Dispatch series, some indie game spotlights, and much more. If any of that sounds interesting or you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.